Today's video, I want to talk to you about 3 must-have do-it-yourself tools that you can have on your fly tying bench. Now, these are things that I really use a lot, and they're handy, and they're things you can make yourself. And I like to make my own tools. I like to come up with my own materials. I buy tons and tons and tons of stuff from fly shops. I mean, you can see I have... God, I grew up poor and I stay poor because of how much fly tying materials I buy. But anyhow, I like to create a lot of my own. And growing up, you just kind of had to improvise. And I remember we had a horse that, as a kid, that always got out. And my dad went out there and we didn't have money for a fence charger. So he took the coil off of a Harley-Davidson motorcycle and a blinker in a car battery. And he made the hottest dang fence charger you ever met in your life. And that kind of stuck with me in life. If you can make something yourself, there's no sense in wasting money on it, because then you can take that money and use it for something else. My wife always picks on me and tells me that I'm cheap, and that I'm so cheap that I squeeze the quarter till the eagle screams, and I think she's kind of right on that. So I'm going to show you 3 things that you can save a little bit of money by making yourself. They're handy as can be, and these are must-have things if you do a lot of fly tying. The first thing first is a bodkin holder cleaner, and this is just a block of wood. And I took a bit and drilled a hole in it, and I got a Brillo pad like you clean your dishes with, or if you're not a great person, you may smoke crack with it. But anyhow, a Brillo pad, just a copper Brillo pad. Make sure it's a copper Brillo pad, not a steel wool pad, because the steel wool will rust and cause all kinds of issues. But you just stick it down in there, and when you're using your bodkin needle, you just store it in there. So you just poke it like that. That stores your needle out of the way, yet easy to get to. But if you have glue, super glue, paint, any kind of stuff on it, when you poke it in there, it cleans it off. So if it's really dirty, you can just rub it up and down inside there, and it keeps that bodkin 100% clean all the time. Now, the second thing I'm going to show is an idea I just saw the other day. I have a cup of water that I keep on my bench, and when I'm tying feathers, I always dip my finger in the cup of water, and I pull it back on them feathers, and it gets them wet and pulls them down to where they're not all bushy and in the way. I was watching a video, and I'm pretty sure that it was Kelly Gallup, I think, is where I saw that. And if you guys ever want to learn a lot, his videos are long, but I can promise you will always learn something. I have been tying for almost 40 years, and the other day I watched a video on how to tie a woolly booger. Now, who can learn anything on a woolly booger? But Kelly Gallup can teach you something, and in this video he did. He had a fly puck, like you get your flies in, and they took a piece of foam and cut an insert out and put it inside there. And then you saturate that with water, and as you're tying your feathers, you just kind of take your feather and you hold it down and pull it over the top of this, and it gets it wet without dripping all over like your fingers do when you use a cup of water. I mean, an awesome deal to control your feathers. And I'd like to take credit for this idea, but I can't. But if you haven't seen it, this is a awesome way to keep your flies or your feathers from going all crazy when you're trying to tie them, and it's not getting water all over your bench. Now, the next thing, I tie a bunch of jig type stuff. So, I'll get my little jigs and I'll put them on a hemostat and I'll paint the jig head, however, whatever. Well, when you do that, you need a place to dry. So the other day I was at Hobby Lobby, and I was in the model paint section looking for stuff, and they had this little block of plastic that was about that big, and they had these little like skewer sticks with alligator clips on the top that you could stick in there to hold different parts to dry for model paint. And I thought, man, that thing's awesome, but it was 4 inches by like 5 inches. It was very little, so it wouldn't hold a lot. So I bought the pack of skewers, because you can get these for like $4. And if you bought the skewers and the alligator clips, I don't think you could make them for the same price, because there was a dozen of them. So you can get a dozen of them for $4. But I came back, and I got it all put together because I've been using it. But I came back and I took a block of cedar that I had, and I just glued some foam down on the bottom. I just made a grid on there, and they're about an inch, somewhere give or take. And I drilled holes the same size as my skewers. And then I took and I stick my skewers in there with the alligator clips up, and I put a dowel rod that's the same size on top. So as I'm taking my jigs and I'm painting them, I can just basically go right here and hang them up. Now, I made these different sizes of heights, because when you're doing that, a lot of times your jig heads, when you're hitting them, they'll rock back and forth and they'll touch each other and stuff like that. So I made it where you can take them and do that. And they're all removable, so I can take them out and do anything. And a lot of electricians and electronic guys use extra hands, which is a little thing with some alligator clips on this. And this thing here, you can set it up any way, shape, form. You can hold flies if you're needing flies to dry, if you're needing something out of the way, if you need to hang something over on your vise and you want to sit it by there. The tall sticks are the same size as my vise is off the ground, so I can use it to hold the bobbin out of the way if I have some crazy thing going on. It's just a handy deal. But when I'm painting jig heads, I used to take a piece of metal clothes hanger and I just stick it in my vise, and as I was painting them, I'd stick them on there and hang them on there. Well, that ties up your vise, and then it bounces real bad, so they're all, you know, bumping into each other. This thing, it works amazing. You can take your jigs, you can paint them, put one row on, stick the next row up and put them on there, and then when you get done, you can unhook the little things and just dump them right out, and you're not losing anything. They're not going all over the place. It works really well. So these are 3 things that I use on my fly time bench that I created myself. And guys, if you can create something yourself, you appreciate it a little bit more. It's something you'll have forever, and it saves you a little bit of money. And if you can create something that makes this hobby easier for you, I think it's a plus all the way around. So I hope this helps. We will see you guys in the next video.